What's up, everybody? This is D Money live from the land of the rising sun here in Tokyo. Had to chime in on Miami's newest portal addition. That is wide receiver Tony Johnson, originally from Ocala, Florida. This guy was an academic walk-on, so academic scholarship walk-on at FAU. Ended up earning his way to the Power Four level with Cincinnati, and now is a Miami Hurricane. Just a quick look at the numbers here: 108 career receptions, over 1,100 career yards, 13 touchdowns, 6'1", 190. So he's got good size for a slot. At Cincinnati last year, 449 yards and led the team with 6 touchdowns. Was in the slot for 77% of his snaps. So that's where you could project him to major here at Miami, returning to his home state, choosing Miami over FSU, who wanted this guy bad as their number 3 receiver, and UCF. So, some of the reaction is focused on, hey, this is not, wide receiver one, all that kind of stuff. Here's what I'll say about this addition. First of all, you love the fact that this guy's been in Power Four, produced in Power Four, and is a high character guy, again, an academic scholarship guy, originally walk on, got it through the mud, as the kids say. So this guy's worked his way up. So I like all of those aspects for a rotation piece. Then you say, okay, look at the receiving room. You want 10 scholarship guys there. If you were there in spring, I was there pretty much every practice. Those of you who went out to the spring game saw a lot of white guys with number 40 jerseys, right? Jersey numbers in the 40s, getting snaps at wide receiver. That means the depth was not where it needed to be from a scholarship perspective. So you look at the roster now. JoJo Schrader, you're counting on him to be the number 1 guy. You were hoping like you landed like an Eric Singleton type in the portal, but that just wasn't there. We'll talk about that when we do our portal wrap up, but you really, really need JoJo Schrader now in his second year as a top 75 prospect, guy who's flash in the bowl and other times, and in practice, he needs to be the number 1 receiver. And you got 3 guys who have played behind him: CJ Daniels, who's played the most meaningful snaps and has had the most production, big receiver, capable of very spectacular contested catches, had one of the best catches I've ever seen in spring, but needs to continue to get healthy from his foot injury. I think he will, but that's one to watch. So you got him. You got Keelan Marion, the wide receiver / All-America kick returner from BYU, who's going to be taking a greater receiving role this year. He was hoping to be BYU's number 1 receiver this year coming up. Now Miami's hoping for him to take that kind of jump. He was a 4-star receiver transfer according to 247, but there's, stuff to prove as a receiver, but he's played. Then you look at Tony Johnson here sliding in. So those are the 4 guys who have had some experience. Then you talk about Ray Joseph, somebody who has been around, worked hard, and is going to get a chance to play here. Then once you get past those 5, you're looking at young players. Nikar played a little, but really hasn't played. Former top 75 prospect as well. Super talented. Didn't have a great spring. We talked about it when he jumped in the portal that, kind of stagnated in spring a little bit, was banged up, and then these freshman receivers passed him by in spring. He came back to Miami, and he's going to have a chance to earn his spot. A very talented player, needs to gain weight. So you got Nikar in the mix. Talk about Chance Robinson, a guy who's been banged up, a former 4-star player, really good size. Kind of the opposite of Nikar in terms of his body. His body's ready for college. He needs to get on the field from a health standpoint. And you got the 3 freshmen, Malachi Toney, who looks like he's going to be an instant contributor, Josh Moore, and Dalen Upshaw. All 3 of those guys, to me, were among the stories of spring because they were consistent and they made a lot of big plays. But you need those guys to deliver. Let me say it differently. You want those guys to deliver, but now you don't need them to deliver because you have more veteran depth with guys like Tony Johnson. So those are 10 scholarship receivers. I think what you're looking at here is a need for some of the more talented upside type players on the roster. Your JoJos, your freshmen, maybe your Nikars, for those guys to really step up. Not all of them are going to. They're young, but if you can get a couple breakouts out of that group, which, look, Clemson won the ACC with young receivers doing those kind of things. So if you can get young production out of some of those guys, maybe like a JoJo and a Malachi, Josh Moore, who knows? Upshaw can do it. Carr can do it. Some of those guys have the talent to break out. I think they all have the talent to break out, and some of them will. Then you look at the veterans just kind of doing their job and being solid with a Tony Johnson, maybe Keelan Marion giving you more as a receiver and taking that next step, putting that athletic tools that allowed him to be an All-America kick returner at 6 foot, 200 pounds to use as a receiver. And then CJ Daniels maybe getting back to some of his Liberty type speed after that foot surgery that he had. Still has the great contested catch ability that he just showed at LSU and elsewhere. Now you're starting to look like a receiving core. Look, did you want a wide receiver one like an Eric Singleton? Yes. But I think this is the best option that you had given that was in the portal. Remember, Keelan Marion, who still has a lot to prove as a receiver, the BYU transfer to Miami, he was a number one ranked receiver in that spring portal. I believe Johnson, who just committed, was the fourth ranked guy in that spring portal. So, or at least the fourth ranked guy left. So these are guys that were good options for now and have production and have more to give. And again, with Johnson, I like the character side of him because he's shown he can get open. He's shifty. He's shown he can make plays, at the college level, the power four level. But now when you factor the character into account, it's a guy you feel comfortable bringing in your room to play a role. Also, a guy originally from Ocala. So he's a Florida guy coming back home and former walk-on, like I said. So he's done it the hard way. So overall, if you take the move for what it is, a very, very solid move. If you think this guy's going to be, Jeremiah Smith or someone like that, that's probably not going to happen. But it's about making this team the best it can be given what your options were. And I think this is somebody who makes a lot of sense to help this team and to get us to that number of receivers that we want from a depth standpoint. So welcome to the U, Tony Johnson. I'm excited to watch this guy play. I think he's going to push Malachi Tony and Jerry Joseph in the slot. Malachi Tony's going to have a chance to start and be a major impact player in the slot, but it's not going to be handed to him because now you have a player who's a veteran who is primarily a slot receiver who's, up to 190 pounds, has been around the block to make him work for it. Or, maybe it's just going to be a split situation. Ray Joseph's going to have his say as well. So overall, a good move if you take it for what it is.